A FAM production. Furniture and mattress. FAM.news.
Build your own bed in under 5 minutes. Thread to Cover Collections ISPA 2022 is coming up, and Culp is a must stop when you head to Orlando March 8th through the 10th. We have Christina Pennant and Holly Fulton from Culp here today. The Dos Marcos Show begins in 60 seconds.
Driven entrepreneurs, listen up. It's time to team up with Nationwide Marketing Group, North America's most successful network of independent retailers. You'll gain access to programs and services that level the playing field between you and the national chains. Industry-leading digital marketing, increased buying power, exclusive networking events, and of course, their awesome learning platform. Nationwide Marketing Group is the business partner that helps you get results and stay ahead of the competition. Take the first step today and visit nationwidegroup.org.
Do you want more sales in 3 easy clicks? Yeah, it starts right now at doorcounts.com. With a completely redesigned user interface, gathering data has never been easier. Click number 1, your salespeople connect with the customer as they walk through the door. Click 2 is the outcome. Click 3, key performance metrics. Right there on your phone from anywhere at any time. Now your salespeople can spend their time selling, and DoorCounts is going to gather the data you need to make your business better. Start right now at doorcounts.com.
Welcome to the Dos Marcos Show with Mark Kinsley and Mark Quinn, where mattress and furniture leaders gather to grow, get the inside scoop, tell stories, and take tequila shots.
Uno, dos, tequila!
The galaxy's greatest mattress podcast has liftoff in
3, engine start, 2, 1. Let's enable 7, 8.
That was a solid takeoff, Kinsley, and it's so appropriate because we have with us today 2 rock stars. It's a stretch, but they're from Culp Industries. Kinsley, you remember we had a fantastic show with Yves Culp and Jeffrey Veach. We talked about the history of Culp. Now we're going to talk about current state, and we're talking about future state with 2 of the people making it happen. And Christina Pennant, creative director, and Holly Fulton, brand experience manager. You guys are awesome to be with us. How are you? And thank you for joining us today on the Dos Marcos podcast. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Good. Holly, how are you doing? Are you nervous for being on the Galaxy's Greatest Mattress podcast? It's okay. Just be honest.
No, we're excited.
Good. No reason to be nervous. We are really excited to have you guys because there's so much to talk about with Culp. You know, I've been doing business with Culp a very long time, but it is not at all the same experience as what it used to be. And I really want you guys to talk about that because you're really looking at your business differently today than you used to. Christina, let's start with you. You've been with the company now for a while, and a lot's changed. What have you seen happen over the last couple of years from kind of how you guys approached it to kind of where you are now?
Well, our customer is the center of our universe, if you will. And we are changing the way how we're meeting that customer. And it's a great balance of leading with creative that also coincides with branding, marketing, and sales and quality. Similar to the experience that we've had in our last 50 years, where we've been leading with quality and experience, and now we're just taking that to that next level to meet the customer in today's new shape and form, if you will.
Can you give us an example of what that might look like, Christina? Like, you know, not necessarily naming a customer. And by the way, Culp is the largest fabric mill or tick supplier for upholstery and for mattresses in the country, right? I mean, in the United States, you're by far the largest, right?
In North America, too.
In North America, right. And so how does that look, Christina, with a customer? Like, what is that experience actually like these days for you?
It's intimate. And what I mean by that is, you know, we listen to the customer before they arrive. We understand who they are, where they're going, where we think they're going, where they would like to go. The brand experience team, they comb every single detail, almost, if you will, as if they're working for said brands or said companies. So they bring that element to the customer. So when the customer shows up, it's almost as if you just got your friend for dinner, if you will, because, you know, that relationship's already there. And then we just build on that. We build on that platform and give that true customer experience.
So, Christina, I'm picking up something. Is that a North Carolina accent?
South.
South Carolina, yeah. South Essex, maybe.
Yeah, no, so England.
How did you end up at Culp? What's your story?
So my journey has been in apparel. I started my career in design a long time ago at Abercrombie and Fitch in 2001. And I worked pursuing the American dream, what brought me here. I told my mum when I left I'd be home in 3 years, and 21 years later, I'm still here. And now with Culp.
Well, we're lucky to have you here, and I know Culp is lucky to have you, and Culp is also lucky to have Holly. And Christina, you kind of teed this up for us in talking about how brand experience managers comb all those details, and then whenever it comes time to meet with the client in person, it's like you're meeting with a friend. So, Holly, take us into that world, because I have to say, whenever I was doing a project back in 2019 for Englander, you know, I traveled around to a lot of different ticking suppliers, and I could see the experience had been elevated dramatically within Culp compared to a lot of the other places I had stopped. And I could also see that something was being clarified and changed. And I think Christina alluded to that, but tell us about what you do and how you create that brand experience.
So our approach has changed dramatically since I first started designing for Culp. We're all about researching our customers now. So our entire brand experience manager team, we're constantly researching what our customers are doing. What is the marketplace doing? What are trends that are happening? So we are just taking all of this information, we're combing it together, and we're trying to develop really personal relationships with our customers. So we can really see designs and we can see them and their designs. So when we're executing, we're no longer just pushing out patterns. We're no longer telling the customer what they want or what they're going to get. We're asking them and we're listening, and we're just changing the entire way that we do things.
I remember when I set out on a complete redesign of a national collection for Englander, having to get a sense of how things were done. And how things were done was very much, you know, ticking suppliers came with a bunch of different options. And then people would look at those options and say, oh, okay, these are some looks and these are some tapes and these are some border panels and maybe we'll do some handles. And they kind of like Frankenstein this thing together. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do it that way. We are going to come at this with intention. We're going to come at this with a well-designed plan. We're going to map it to our brand. We're going to map it to our values. We're going to map it to our unique differentiation in the marketplace. And then we're going to go meet with ticking suppliers and help them help us. So one of the things that really stands out to me that we even set up in the very beginning of the show, which you're going to be showing at ISPA Expo coming up in March 8th, you said something about thread to cover collections. And for some reason, I think that sings to my soul because it maps back to what I was trying to figure out long, long ago. But tell us about thread to cover collections. Is that what I'm talking about?
Yes. So the way that we've been designing, we start with artwork and we build collections. So there we're starting with trends and we're starting with things that we have seen and heard from customers that they're looking for. From there, we're building trends and we have a bunch of different panels that fit into each trend category. They're offering different things like performance capabilities or just pure design aesthetics. And we are taking those and we're creating simulations of every piece of fabric that is going to be in that booth at ISPA. And from there, those simulations become part of a 3D rendering through Reimagine by Live Furnish. So on our TV screens and on our app, you'll be able to choose a custom cut and sew, and then you'll be able to apply any of the fabrics to that. And then from there, you're able to save out the image and the bed that you've rendered, and you can share it with anyone right there with one click.
Because the old way was, let's get some looks, let's build beds, then we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the old way was sitting through a tick flipping presentation, right? And with COVID, now you guys have gotten really good at digital, but it's a tick flipping presentation. And then you go back and you say, okay, I want to see that in lavender instead of the soft blue. I want to see that with this pattern instead of that. And then it was a 2 or 3 week process of having to go back and have samples rerun. But since you got into Live Furnish, let's just go straight into that, because this is something you guys are going to be doing at ISPA. And we've had Preet from Live Furnish on our show, and I've used him, Mark's used him for some things that we've done, and they're really doing some cool stuff in technology. So now when I'm with you guys and I don't like a color or a pattern, you can literally like do that on the fly in many cases. And then you can not only show me that, but you can cover the mattress that I'm trying to, dress in the new line, and you're going to show me exactly what that looks like on the bed. That is game-breaking stuff or game-changing stuff. Are you guys the only ones doing that? It seems like you are.
As far as we know, we are, yes.
So what is the impact of that, you guys? I know the impact that it had on me. It saved me time. It saved me money. It gave the retail customer I was working with a really great vision into what could be in terms of the look. So there was all kinds of great things with it. What are you hearing from your customers about that process? Like, what has the impact of that been?
I think, like you said, it's cut down on sampling. It's cut down on our designers' time. And we just have become really efficient and really intentional. And I think that that's been a really dramatic shift from where we were and who we were.
And along with that, it's also speaking to the way how we're approaching sustainability, if you will. You know, being able to show up in this digital way and across our Live Furnish platform, that's also saving everyone time. And when we think of time and we think of our carbon footprint, that's also important, which does speak to who we are and where we're going as we accelerate into 2022 and beyond.
Okay, we were talking about trends a little bit. Let's stay there for a minute, because sustainability is a trend, and I wonder sometimes, is it a mandatory for people? And I think good companies with good core values take it upon themselves to not let the consumer drive that. But sustainability is definitely a trend that's advancing, I think. Tell us about sustainability as a trend, and then maybe start with you, Christina, and then maybe Holly, talk about some of the other trends you're seeing that are taking hold.
I mean, sustainability is by far the leading one. And even though we say it's a trend, I mean, it's definitely something that's macro. And if you will, we kind of look at it in a almost like in a 3-step cadence, right? So there's people that is the purist, there's the person in the middle, and there's the person that wants to check the box. So even in our product architecture, we're trying to deliver that cadence of sustainability for all of our customers. So, you know, or whether it's through pattern and our looks have a sustainable feel to them, whether they are inherent in the qualities and the materials that we're bringing into the fabric, or whether they just have that combination as well that's that utilizes the way how sustainability is.
And Holly, what trends are you seeing?
Well, I would just wanted to say one note on sustainability. We aren't just pushing that out as a trend. We're practicing what we preach. We have become zero to landfill within Culp and our Culp Cut and Sew, and we're working on that for upholstery and some of our other divisions, not just in America. So we're really putting forth the effort to become a sustainable company instead of just offering sustainable products. Because to us, it doesn't matter if you're offering a customer sustainable yarn if you're not actually being sustainable yourself. You're not fully contributing to that ecological footprint that's important to our customers and that's important to, you know, the world right now. So I'd say for us, it's become a lifestyle instead of a trend. But speaking of trends, we do have a lot of other trends that we're pursuing, and we have a luxury category. We have a new express line that I'm personally really excited about. It was developed after we researched just some of our really well-selling patterns and what we saw trending in the marketplace. And it's a really curated collection based on items that we know could immediately be placed and immediately be used. So these will be set up in our different low-cost countries, and they'll have different levels of availability kind of from the get-go. So that's a really exciting collection.
So tell us about that luxury collection. What makes it unique? The hand, the colors, like what's making that so popular right now?
I'd say all of it. Christina's done such a good job of working with our designers to make them think out of the box. So they're they're inspired for everything from bridal collections to just other luxury fabrics and performance features that we've seen in clothing and apparel. And it's a really wonderful hybrid of a few different things.
We're talking with Christina Pennant and Holly Fulton with Culp. ISPA Expo 2022 is coming up March 8th through the 10th. It's in Orlando. Okay, first, Christina, tell us your booth space.
The number?
Yeah.
I have memorized so many things for ISPA and been prepared for 101 things in meeting our customer, working on, the collection, but I didn't memorize the booth number. Over to you, Holly.
2723.
Yeah.
They're going to be very hard to miss. And by the way, Christina, I thought that was just going to be the most dramatic pause ever to deliver a booth space number on the planet. I'm like, she's going to land this thing. It's
dun, dun, dun.
Tons of drama.
1501. Yeah.
Well done.
Well done, Christine.
Okay, so
I think she just wanted Holly to have more microphone time. I think is
there
what
you
just
go.
happened.
So over at what was it, Holly? 2421?
2723.
2723. So at 2723, you are going to have a BYOB event, and I'm not talking about bring your own bottle or bring your own beer or bring your own booze. It's build your own bed in 5 minutes. Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun. Number one, tell us about that. What's the experience like?
So the experience is basically we have a new platform, Live Furnish. We call it Reimagine by Live Furnish. And it is a digital library of all of our available fabrics. So we have knits, we have wovens, we have panels, we have borders. Everything that you see in our show space and in that booth and on the floor is also available digitally. So as you're walking through and you pick your border and you pick your panel, you can pick a custom cut and sew pattern and all of these different things that are in our silo library, and you can map your border and your panel right there and create your own mattress. You can see the product in real life and then get a digital rendering of what your bed will look like.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So just for anyone on the manufacturing side that's listening to this, when we went through it, we started with a collection of fabrics. And I want to go back to trends because I know you guys are doing some really cool stuff with performance fabrics that I want to talk about, speaking of curating some collections. But you go through this thing where you pick like several of the fabrics and then you can narrow it down with, in this case, I worked it with a retailer and we narrowed it down to some fabric selections. And then the Culp team covered our bed in those fabric selections. So instead of a retailer or a customer or even yourself trying to pick the bed, you can actually see it on the bed and it really brings it to life in a completely different way. And when Christina's group shows you how a tape edge can accent the main, color in the panel, or how the gusset on a Euro top or pillow top can be a great contrast to the border and the foundation of the bed, it works in concert amazingly well. And when you get it done, it really is a completely different experience than the way it used to be done, you guys. So my hat is off to you. And for anyone going to ISPA, you have to stop by the Culp space and see how Culp is using technology to make this whole thing better, easier, cheaper, faster, and way more impactful in terms of the end game. So I love what you guys are doing there. And by the way, also Preet with Live Furnish, the neat thing is once we got the beds done, because they're working with Live Furnish, if you're also a customer of Live Furnish, then you can take those images and they're all 3D rendered, and you can literally use that image as a lifestyle image on your website, as a thumbnail image, but you can use it and no consumer is going to be able to tell the difference. So Culp is working very closely with them. A lot of tech people are not. And so it's very difficult to use other fabric suppliers in this process because they don't know what Live Furnish needs to do it. So that's one of the big advantages for me personally working with you guys, is that you're already connected to them and you're already able to help me get into the digital image part of that. So I love it. You guys are killing it with that. Can't wait to see you guys at ISPA. So talk to us now about the collections. You know, before, Christina, I think you said your designers, you picked a bunch of stuff and you bring them to the space and you kind of throw them on racks and people can come in and shop, and there's not a lot of rhyme nor reason to that. But this time you've been very intentional about what you're bringing in terms of your collection. Can you give us a little feel for what that is? You mentioned sustainability already, and there's a couple other things you're going to bring along.
Yeah. So performance, even when you think of sustainability, you can look at it in a capsule, if you will, and then you can look at other collections such as the luxury and performance, but they all merge together as well. So it's telling that story and having that experience across the fabrics, where when we're speaking of performance, it's how does the fabric behave? What are those behaviors, whether it's inherent through yarn, whether it's inherent through design and pattern, or if there's a secret sauce that you will see when you get to ISPA, of how we're treating the fabric.
I like that.
Secret sauce.
Secret sauce, huh?
Secret sauce.
Hey, speaking of secret sauce, I've got to say something about Culp as an organization. I mean, the more we have had a chance to talk to team members like Iv and Jeff, and then now Holly and Christina, you could see that there's a dynamism within the organization, and there's some shifts and changes. And so I have a question for you. For somebody on the outside looking in at the company, what might be a misconception about who Culp is? Because we're not within those four walls. We don't always see the changes and the evolution. So, Holly, why don't we start with you? What might be a misconception that people in the industry or on the outside have about Culp?
I think since we've been around for such a long time, people sometimes get the impression that they already know who we are and they already know what we have. We have such a legacy that I think sometimes people confuse that with just knowing everything about us. And I think especially in the last 2 years, we've made such a huge shift as a company, just from start to finish, our process, our people, the way that we develop our product. We're so different from where we were, and we're new and we're fresh. We're no longer, older or outdated. We are in with technology. We're not afraid of that. So we're just embracing new things. And I'd say that we have really come a long way.
What about you, Christina? Is there a misconception maybe that even you had before you joined the company, or that you hear about consistently now, that is not the case, or maybe some sort of evolution that's happened that you would like to highlight?
I would say that the evolution and the perceptions around the mattress industry, right? So you think of a mattress, I know I did before I came, and thought, a mattress? What do you mean designing for mattresses? What does that mean? Well, ultimately, we're designing fabric. It shouldn't make any difference whether it goes on a mattress or whether it's something that you would wear. It's something that has life, it has energy, it has beauty. When you think of your bed as a totality, that's your haven. That's a place where you sleep. So why shouldn't this fabric give you everything that you need, visually look stunning, have the details and the performance attributes to help you have a better night's sleep, and then, from the digitalness as well, having that platform to jump off from, that's something I think that we haven't told before. We haven't told that side of, meeting the customer with the fabric as being the hero. The fabric's the hero, our brand is the hero, quality is our hero.
Well said.
It's
a collection of stuff, whether it's sheets and ticking or foam and springs, that you put next to your body for a greater amount of time than any other single product. So it should be the best you can have. Mm-hmm. Quinn, you just, like a light bulb went on above your head. I didn't want to stop you from that.
No. Thanks. I appreciate that. No, I got fired up because, Christina, something you said, Mark and I have talked about it on the show before, but, we as human beings, we get up every day and we pick out a shirt and we pick out a pair of pants or whatever we're going to do. We don't get pants that are 3 inches too short. We don't get a shirt with holes in it. We try to present ourselves as best we can because we want that first impression with someone we might meet that day, or that impression that we make on the people that we're around, to be meaningful, right? Mm-hmm. And we really think of you guys as that critical first impression, because when a consumer comes into the store, they eat with their eyes and they can look across a sea of white rectangles. You always hear that expression inside of this category. But, the truth is it's not white these days. There's a lot of design and there's a lot of fashion in that. And you really are the first impression. It's that moment of truth when they walk up to that collection of bedding and they look at it and they see it and they go, it's beautiful, or, right? Or when they see it and it draws them in because of the texture or something that you've done that makes them want to go up and just touch it, right? And tell me, I'll listen, show me, I'll watch, involve me, I'll buy. If they're so involved, they want to go touch it and feel it. Like, that's the business you guys are in. And so do you guys feel, Holly, I'll ask this to you, do you feel like the people you deal with really get the importance of that? Or do you think it's part of your job right now is to keep coaching people up on it literally is that serious or that big of an opportunity to be that you guys are their first impression? Do you think you're getting credit for that?
Well, I had a customer about 4 years ago when I was a knit designer, and he used to tell us when we were designing product to think of it as a piece of furniture. And he told us not every customer is going to see a bed, and they're not always going to view it as a piece of furniture. They're not going to visualize it in their room or in their home, but don't design for that person. Design for the person who walks into a showroom and visualizes it in their space, and it's personal to them, and it is a piece of furniture. And so that for me really shifted the way that I thought about design and the way that I really approached it. And I think as a company, we've really taken that concept to heart. And that's why we're designing for our customers, because we want not only our customers, but their customers to view this as something livable and something that they want to be in a room. It's not just a white box. It has color, it has meaning, it has purpose, and it's a really expensive investment. Beds are not cheap. So those mattresses, we want to design with intention so that people could imagine them in a space even without sheets on it.
And when you do rip
Christina,
off the sheets, it's really nice to be able to see something beautiful in the room, even if it's just for a moment. It's the it's the Japanese monk, passing the window that led out to the sea. He blocked off most of that so that whenever he did pass it, that view is still meaningful instead of expansive windows that opened up the entire landscape. It was only when he was passing down this hallway that he would get a glimpse of this beautiful ocean. That's what happens when you rip the sheets off. You get a glimpse of something beautiful and you're reminded, I made a good investment there.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. I just wonder, Christina, how do you hear the opposite of that when you're like having a customer in, they go, oh, they're going to cover it up, it doesn't matter?
It's funny, there is some clearly that will say that, but nonetheless, they're still seeking beauty. They're still seeking that lifestyle, that connection to, interior trends. They're still wanting that bed to be their hero. Again, as we spoke about brands, all of our customers are branding their own platforms in ways that, whether you're a small customer or a large customer, you still want that visceral connection. And it's, now as well as we shift into the digital landscape, we're also looking at serving the customer. So again, when something's now on screen via e-commerce and in our retail environment, it has to serve in both arenas. So again, it's a bit of everything. So yes, our customers, yes, some of them will say they're putting a sheet on it, but nonetheless, they still want that beauty in the fabric.
Okay, quick pop quiz, just a little bit of a reset here. Christina, Culp's booth number at ISPA Expo 2022.
2723.
Yeah.
There you go, Christina. You're not gonna trick her, Kinsley. That's not right.
That was a pop quiz for our listeners, but Christina was answering on behalf of the audience, and she did a great job. Thank you so very much. I can't wait to meet you both at ISPA Expo 2022, because we're going to be there roaming around, planning our looks, planning our designs. So excited.
Hey guys, are you, so a question as we kind of wrap things up, I've known people at Culp as long as I've been inside the category. So Chuck Fowler and Mike Contanero, been a friend for a long time. Larry and Chad Coltrane, Iv and his dad, Rob, and so many, Chuck, I mentioned Chuck, so many more people, and you guys, of course. It's surprising that I know that many people from Culp, and oddly enough, they're all still there, right? So it seems to me like people that go to work for Culp stay to work at Culp. So why do you think that is? What is it about Culp that think it's a great place to work, and that's why your customers kind of gravitate to you guys?
I would say it's the richness in legacy, and ultimately, we say we're a family, but we also act as if we're a family. And what I mean by that is we're there to support each other on our day-to-day. And there isn't really anything that we wouldn't do together to help each other out. So I would say that is what I see. And that's our foundation that's been built from day one.
We love hearing that, because we are the fam. So we love hearing about businesses and industries that treat each other like a family. Holly, what about you?
I would agree with that. I actually started out at Culp when I was 21, out of college as a designer, and I got recruited by an ad agency, and I left for a year and a half and got like a little master's in advertising. And when I wanted to leave that job, the first person that I called was Iv. I didn't tell my parents. I called Iv, and I was like, hey, I miss you guys. What do I do? And I came back. So I would say it's as strong as that. It's the people, and it's just Culp.
It's just Culp.
Yeah.
Love that. And Quinn, that's been my experience as well. I mean, when I got into this industry, those are some of the first folks I met, and I've got so many heartwarming stories about Iv that he would probably be embarrassed of me sharing. But it starts at the top, and it flows down through the entire family. And so Culp, a great company to do business with. Can't wait to meet you both in person. And it's high fives or hugs, and one or the other, but probably hugs.
Probably hugs. So you guys, is there a place you want people to go? So are you setting appointments for your BYOB, build your own bed? And if so, is there a place people can go and sign up for those appointments, because they will be limited?
Yes, right now we're actually booking those through Rustin Thomas, who is one of our sales executives. So it's a personal booking because we have limited space, and we have 2 conference rooms, 2 TVs available. So you can just email brthomas@culp.com and set up an appointment with him, and he'll give you available time slots and customize that appointment for you.
And what booth space is that going to be in?
2723.
I mean, we did have a different booth number for 2020, so it did get confusing. And we did have a Vegas showroom with another number. So we've got a lot of numbers recently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if Mark and I set up some time, you guys could have some champagne in there for us? Is that?
Yeah, just don't tell ISPA. Just like hide it in our purse. We have a closet.
Well, they'll never hear it now.
Yeah.
Don't worry. With us, you can just tell them, hey, it's not champagne, it's tequila. Totally admissible. Well, awesome. Well, hey, Christina, Holly, thank you so much for being on the show today. And thank you for sharing about the Culp fam with the fam and with the Dos Marcos audience. True innovation is emerging from Culp, and always has, but it's just what you said earlier, Christina, a focus on quality and a focus on the customer is now being translated into true innovation in the industry, and helping people have a company that it's easier to do business with. And I can't tell you how many times I look around at companies in this industry, I'm like, they want to give you money, and it's really hard for them to give you money. So, when we think about where does your product eventually cascade down to? Well, down to the retailer and down to the consumer. And what are retailers trying to do? They're trying to make it frictionless. They're trying to make people have an easy transaction. And by helping them get a bed that they really need, it goes beyond transaction to transformation. And I love to hear about the transformation of your company and the innovation. And I love having bright minds and wonderful spirits like you in this industry. Thank you so much. Look forward to meeting you at ISPA 2022 and 2723. That's a lot of numbers right in a row. So thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, guys. See
Pleasure.
you in Orlando.
Thank you.
You could bounce on it. Yeah, bounce with it, bounce with it. Bounce with it, bounce with it. Alright. What is a hybrid? It's like peanut butter jelly, peanut butter chocolate. Hybrid so tight, there's no way that you could topple it. Hybrid on my wrist, that's a calculator watch. We add ourselves together and we take it up a notch.
Got the airflow, yo, keep you cool as it get. Visco foam alone to make you drip sweat. Get a hybrid mattress, yes, you'll get better rest. Cool and comfortable, hybrid like a sweater vest.
You know the game, we're ahead of the sun. Cause the two of us together are way better than one. Cause I'm cool as ice
And I'm hot like a heater.
bounce by the ounce, now we got it by the liter.
Well, you take a spring and you wrap it up right. You can sleep so smooth or bounce all night. Put two together, get a whole lot more. Get the feel of the comfort core.
You could bounce on it.
Lay back, you don't have to practice. It's the best thing to happen to your mattress. Get together to do it like I did. Everybody get hybrid.
If you want somebody to get in your vicinity, you probably want to feel a little bit of a hybridity. Foam alone, out of 5, maybe 1 star. Springs and foam, we're taking care of that lumbar. Mad back support, the best way to shack up or just get rest that won't mess your back up.
Like a hot chick mixed with a particle physicist or a mullet. Party in the back of the business. Best of both worlds like Mars and Venus.
The ultimate hybrid.
Nothing short of genius.
Keeping it loose while keeping it tight. We can make you sleep or play all night. Put two together, get a whole lot more. Get the feel of the comfort core.
You could bounce on it.
No stopping when the beat gets played back. Springs keep it popping, foam keeps it laid back. Party over here, get invited. Everybody get hybrid.
Listen, doesn't matter if your kitchen is charming when your bedroom's the most important part of the apartment.
What kind of bed do you keep back there? Does your girl wanna chill on a beanbag chair? Hell no!
You need springs and foam, cause if that bowling ball don't bounce, you'll be sleeping alone.
And if the bed don't react, then you can't get low. We got the type of bounce that won't spill your Merlot.
So stick with us and you'll get rewarded.
Cause I'm so gentle
And I'm so supportive.
Hybrid is where the magic is.
And we just killed a song about mattresses.